I'm at 2175 Uhl Road in it's Cold Springs, Kentucky. On a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that would be concerning for the buyer. Our access, there's actually two, but first we're going to attempt to make it all the way out from the main stack on the right side, just as you enter the garage from the driveway. There's a stack off to the right. We're going to go from the top PVC clean out. We'll go out as far as we can. Hopefully we're able to make it through all the turns. But there is also a clean out the floor, the front of the basement floor, one of the center of the house. We can also go through if we have any issues making it all the way through from in here. As you can see, there it is. Garage, and here's the access. I don't think we're going to be able to make it through the S-bend at the base of the stack here. It makes two 90s right on top of each other, and with it being cast iron, it doesn't want to turn, make both turns here. So we're going to have to go through the floor clean out and inspect the exterior line. And then what I may do is grab a smaller camera and try to go through this line again with a little smaller camera, see if it'll make that turn. But the biggest problem is, as you can see as we come down the stack here, you have this cast iron S-bend. It comes over and goes down into the floor, and then once it goes through the floor, it does it again. So there's probably it's basically three 90s in a row, and so the camera with the electronics won't make all those bends in that short of a distance. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pause the video, and I'll make a move here. You can kind of see it from the side though, but see how drastic that turn is, and then once it goes through the floor, it turns in 90s again. So, we'll pause the video here, we'll make a move over to the floor cleanout. Alright, so we made a move over to the floor cleanout. So we'll go through here. It should easily be able to get out, but in this case, this has a sweep on it. And so you can't go back into the house. If you look down in there, you'll see as we go down through there, it basically forces, which see, it kind of forces you to go one direction, which is out towards the street, and so we're not able to inspect the stuff under the floor. And that's where I was saying what I'll try to do is I'll try to use a small camera to go through the other stuff. This is holding some, there we go. May end up having to put a standoff on the camera also. So, on the interior, this is all cast iron. So, cast iron isn't a bad material, but obviously it does rust, and it rusts a lot. So the interior of the line gets really rough. So the main thing that we always try to make sure is that people don't use wet wipes. It's real common to have what they call soft clogs with cast iron, because as you can see just how rough the interior gets. Toilet paper, stuff like that can get caught easier. Now toilet paper will disintegrate underwater, and but the wet wipes will not. And so when they catch, things always build up behind it. And so it just causes it's a lot more common to have these soft clogs with cast iron. And now I expected this to turn into clay once it got out of the house. But it looks like this is stained cast iron, possibly all the way out to the main, which is pretty uncommon. Normally, when they did this, it was maybe in the 70s or so. Now, cast iron is good about keeping roots out, but again, you're dealing with a lot of the rust and stuff like that, and so it's really hard to tell how thin or thick these pipe walls are. You're basically looking for just functionality as far as the line is concerned. They all look ugly like this. The line is holding shape pretty well. You don't see any holes or any structural issues. But again, you don't really know how much life is left in the cast iron, just because, especially when it's outside, you don't know what the exterior looks like of the pipe with it being in the ground. And so it's hard to tell how much life is left in the line. So once we got out to here, it is changing material. This is really, I don't know if that's a liner they put in. It does kind of look like a liner with some of the wrinkles and stuff that are in it. Or maybe this is, so we have made it all the way out to the main. So we'll try to make sure that the line is clear, and then we'll pull back. But it did look pretty good. Like I said, it's ugly. All cast iron's ugly like that. And of course, there are always, higher rates of those like soft clogs and stuff due to the cast iron. But overall, the line is functioning and is holding shape pretty well. There's no root intrusion. And so that would be a pretty big evidence of any breaks or anything too, would be some form of root intrusion or dirt. So there's no holes. Structurally, it looks like the line is intact. But again, I can't really tell you the lifespan of a cast iron line, because a lot of things can contribute to that estimated lifespan. You can't really tell how thin or thick the pipe walls are from the inside of the pipe like this. So it's just something that is normal with cast iron. You can take a look at it. It's going to be ugly and rough, but again, I think the average lifespan, I think originally it was set to be 75 years or so, and so it's kind of depends on the soil conditions and all kinds of stuff as to how fast the line deteriorates. But at any rate, I'm going to pause the video for a second. We're going to run some water in the stationary tub here in the basement, and that way we can watch the line function as we pull back. And then I think I'm going to switch over to the smaller camera and see if I can get that to go through that other cleanup. Okay, water should have made it all the way out to the line now. So as we pull back, we'll look for that to begin getting down there. We are out 70 feet, so sometimes it takes a minute. And so again, there are things you can do. You can try to have them descaled, which basically they send like a little chain on the end of a machine through there, and it kind of kind of resurfaces the interior of the line, brings it back to its normal diameter. But this one looks like it's held shape pretty well. I don't see any areas where it's real heavy. And one thing with that is how we were talking earlier about not knowing how thin or thick the pipe walls are. There's always a risk if you do that of damaging the pipe or blowing through the side. But as we pull back through here, you'll see is with all the rust and stuff that you can see kind of this, it just peeling and stuff. It just looks like normal rust. And so the line is functioning fully. So I think when I get up close to the house, I may turn the water off and let it drain down, because I knew there was a little spot on the way out that we had trouble seeing. And so again, this is ugly, but it's fully functional. And then here we are pulling right out here. Looks like you have a little bit of a belly. Right here at the end. Yep. Push out. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the water off, and then we'll try to let it drain down for a minute. Okay, you can see it's drained down a good deal right here, but see, this is where it is, so 6 feet. So basically, from the clean out 6 feet, which is just past the foundation. It's not uncommon for it to be sitting a little low right there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually switch cameras here. And have a little standoff on the little camera, and we'll see if raise it up so we can just see that first few feet. So I'm going to pause the video again and switch out cameras. Okay, now we have the little camera. The only difference is that it doesn't have the angle indicator there in the bottom left-hand corner, but okay. So that's good. At least we can see above it, which means it's not the entire so there's that 6 foot mark. Okay, so and you can tell you do have a belly between about 8 foot. See, it's not the full, it's about an 1.5 inch belly, but you can see that the pipe is still intact. And so bellies aren't normally horrible. That's because the camera's sitting upright. I'm looking right down into the camera, or right down into the thing here. And so bellies aren't horrible as far as, you know, they can either, I'm gonna have to get something to get my camera out now, but the bellies themselves, as long as you're not flushing anything that you shouldn't down through there, they're not an issue. Just if it's like a little bit low, the water will just overtake it. Like in this situation, it's not very deep. It's maybe an extra inch and a half of water. And so as long as you're using, you know, what you're supposed to flush down there, it should overtake it relatively easy. But I will mark it on there as a belly between the 1 foot and 8 foot on the video, which is basically from the base of this clean out here in the floor out just past the foundation. And so it is fairly normal to have a little bit of a low spot there on older homes, just because that extra weight on there tends to push that line down here. But overall, the line looked great. It's fully functional. It is obviously cast iron, so it's not pretty, but it is fully functional. So I'm going to pause the video for a second. We're going to take, I'm going to move the camera back over to the other spot and just see if we can get through that turn. So to see if we can look at the interior piping, but hopefully we can get through that bend, but I'm not real optimistic. So again, I'm going to pause the video and make that move. Okay, I'm going to make one last attempt here with the small camera to get through that bend. One turn. And we're down. One more turn. Yep. Yeah, this is not going to make those 390s in a row. So, we were unable to inspect the interior line, but overall on the outside, with it being cast iron and looking at the rest of the line itself, cast iron is fully functional, but we just have the normal, the normal warnings about making sure you're not flushing wet wipes or anything you're not supposed to down the sewer line, and you should be good. But again, we can't tell what the interior pipe looks like. The exterior cast iron, again, it's ugly, as it all is. It's rusty, but it's fully functional at the time of inspection, and didn't see any structural issues at all. There's a little belly between 1 foot and about 8 feet, so about 7 feet of pipe there from the clean out past the foundation. It's not the full diameter of the pipe. It's about 1.5 inches maybe belly. And so again, as long as you're only flushing toilet paper and normal things down there, it should function fine. But yeah, the warning I will always put on all my things is basically that, just as a note, that cast iron is more susceptible to those soft clogs, and if there's any low flow toilets, those can also contribute to it. You want to make sure you're putting enough water through these old pipes to be able to push the debris down the line. And so with all that information, the line is in good shape structurally and fully functional. So that's going to end the inspection at 2175 Uhl Road, Cold Springs, Kentucky.